Good to see you again, kind of a quick break. And also hello again to everyone watching us from the stream, no matter where you are, couch, office, happy to have you here. Make sure to check out Swapcard for all the stuff that is going on today. And just to wake you up a bit, I have a question. Who of you uses Google on a daily basis? Who of you uses TikTok? Okay, not so much Gen Z around, I see. And who of you uses Spotify? Okay, and this is cool for all of us, since these are fun, cool apps, but this is also a problem, since the music world's biggest challenge right now probably is the market power of these huge global players, Google, Spotify, TikTok, you name them. And this is what Balbina is going to talk about, and she's going to explore the question, does digital value actually reflect the worth of art? Welcome, Balbina.
Good morning, everyone. So nice to see so many lovely faces in the very, very morning. For me, it's very early, actually. So let's start fresh. The world is art. What we see is what nature and humankind has created. That means we co-create the reality we live in. We build the houses, we design the machines, we write the stories, and we paint the future. We communicate as we speak, like right now, as we listen, as we exchange our perspectives. Through art, we define sensitive emotion that we carry into society. The Scream is not only a creation of Edvard Munch, it co-creates what you feel when you look at it. It triggers your feelings and it leads you into action. It makes you realize what can be done, makes you move thoughts in your head, which may lead to hope, may create change through empowerment. When I say we don't need no thought control, I know that a majority of you guys has been already influenced for decades by another brick in the wall from Pink Floyd. Yes, art, especially music, literature, theater, and film has power to build visions that move us into the future. It is a compressed, emotionalized form of communication. Arts let us reflect our actions and re-evaluate how we move forward. We are able to negotiate our values when experiencing emotion through music. Our culture and how we evolve depends on art. Because we are human and we strive to understand us in our reflection. Culture helps us to question our habits, to feel empathy for a foreign perspective. And empathy, you know it, is the ground for ethical coexistence. Art, like music, creates the space where we test how we can live together and what can be achieved. But also music needs its own space to be created and furthermore to exist, to be presented and to be seen and heard. A space that gives birth to ideas, helps visions to grow. A room you enter where you can listen, watch, and experience the other point of view. Maybe a totally different, avant-garde, a new point of view, which would never have a chance to be detected algorithmically by a computer for a mainstream movement. Because in contrast to personal computers, we are human. As art designers, we have the ability to dream. To dream of a complete different future scenario. But keep in mind, creation is so vulnerable like newborn life. It needs to be protected in its freedom to emerge, needs to be guarded and watered to grow strong into our reality. And most of all, it needs to be independent. A spark of idea should never, ever depend on governments or industry. Otherwise, it won't be able to be free, and therefore it won't be able to create something new. The art gallery, the pop concert in a sports stadium, a record on a turntable in your living room, or a graffiti in the subway. The piano music coming out of the window of your neighbor's house, or the poem you have heard from your mother. All these moments create spaces where emotion meets audience. Like this space. A brand new space for art seemed to emerge 30 years ago when a group of the digital avant-garde stepped forward. When John Barlow and the pioneers of the EFF declared the Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace in 1996. I quote, "Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants of flesh and steel, I come from cyberspace, the new home of mind. On behalf of the future, I ask you of the past to leave us alone. You are not welcome among us. You have no sovereignty where we gather." I repeat, cyberspace, the new home of mind. Today, the status quo, seems to me, is in contradiction to this declaration. Furthermore, John Barlow's words seem like an utopia. As I see the Web 2.0 and the Web 3.0, it has an infrastructure which indeed seems to be some kind of independent from governments, but still sectionalized by an industry. On a daily basis, we connect digitally with others, and we all know if we want to connect, we need to use paths of the platform economy, but they come with a certain price. If I want to communicate my music with a bigger audience, I need to accept the terms of these platforms. And most terms of platforms are commercial constructs, which were never really designed to reflect democratic process, but rather business models that aimed market share, profit, and relevance in a very, very short period of time. Nevertheless, only a few commercial platforms turned out to be the core of a worldwide digital communication. They serve as a second reality, as our digital home, space, and land. We interact in this digital playing field, and its rules were made by only a very few companies. By companies which are not always independent from governments, by the way. TikTok's and Tencent's involvement with China as their birth country, for instance, is reflected on how their platforms value copyright content. Here in Germany, on the other hand, we value this particular interest in a complete different way, which is a result of democratic negotiation for years, for decades, and it is still ongoing. Because we have learned to honor intellectual property and art in a way that ensures artists fair payments so they can create, so they are able to produce, so they are able to design, so they are able to make the music. Because we have learned we need independent media to ensure art cannot be instrumentalized for political use. So how do we make sure all these different perspectives on value and independence, on ethics in general actually, can be reflected in global platform terms and actions when there is no common sense, no common conduct, no common code of conduct whatsoever? When there is no unity in the world, when we have governments that decide to control the digital connection, when we have billionaires buying platforms and ruling them as if these platforms had no responsibility for humankind whatsoever, even though they carry 450 million of users with billions of opinions and content. We have to learn that these platforms are not only commercial industry stakeholders, but virtual districts we all live in which we have to ensure that our human rights standards and values are essential, where we have to underline our responsibility for the independence of art. We cannot rely on business-driven decisions within platforms that are not made for democratic process, because still they are companies. It is not in their nature. I repeat, cyberspace, the new home of mind? Yes and no. We seem to release more opinions, more music, more films, talk more. We are connected overseas every day and every night. We even kiss each other virtually. We can touch the moon in the metaverse, and we can listen to a bird from a foreign country. But in this new world we learn, we are worth nothing if we don't get reach by profit-driven companies. We learn that art is worth nothing if it's not consumed frequently. But the internet is so much more than an industry. Cyberspace needs to re-evaluate its policies. We have to understand that we have to work globally on legislation that applies to all platforms to ensure an ethical virtual code of conduct which is not based on economic values but on constitutions of democratic countries. Human dignity, freedom of speech, or independence of art is grounded in our constitutions for a reason. So everything that grows on these values grows in an ethical way. So economy can negotiate its values with society. Therefore, I would like to modify Barley's words for a final statement. Platforms of the virtual world, you powerful giants of numbers and servers, I coexist in the cyberspace, and I know it could be the new home of mind. On behalf of the future, I ask you of the past to realize your responsibility to ensure ethics within your policies. Otherwise, you are not welcome among us. We will re-establish our sovereignty where we gather. Thank you.